So sort of the world I live in, SaaS, software as a service, B2B focused versus consumer based startups. We're in what you would call a next wave of SaaS. And in this new wave are a couple of interesting things. First of all, and people talk a lot about this, so I'll say the buzzword big data, data science, and they kind of get off it. It's a buzzword because, like many things, it's something that sounds very exciting and sounds like it's the end of everybody's problems. It's funny, like in the world of IT, like we always do this. Like we come up with this new thing and we talk about it and we describe it as like this thing that's going to like solve every problem the world ever had, and I think and so like the word comes out and like maximum hype, and then it sort of sinks into the trough of disillusionment. Gartner literally calls it that, the trough of disillusionment. It sort of comes back out or dies, But when you do see these types of concepts of big data, data science, whatever, applied right, what a business process that you're trying to do, where in the old days you have to manually type in all the information. Nowadays, you hit a button and it shows up. And maybe that's a lead you're trying to sell to, and you send an email once to that lead. Well, since you did that, you're never going to have to type that information in again. So it's going to show up now in your CRM system. And that's this idea of data science kind of done right, where we are focusing on leveraging large amounts of data to derive insights, which people talk about that a lot, but also to actually make a business process, a problem more efficient and more easily solved. There's an additional trend, and it's probably getting a lot more attention lately than maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And that's what people call the consumerization of technology, where you're taking or you're getting inspired by fantastic user experiences on apps that are built for consumers, and you're bringing those models into the enterprise. There used to be a joke about the user experience of enterprise apps and how just absolutely shitty and terrible they were, and how, well, it's your job, and so you're paid to do it, so you kind of have to do it. You have to type in that invoice data or type in that purchase order data, and, well, it's your job. Versus your personal life, where you have a choice on what apps you want to use. So we better make something that you actually want to use and actually want to stick with. And now what you're seeing is the way that companies are innovating is they're creating those incredible user experiences for employees, for people while they're at work, just like they are while they're at home. And that's this idea of consumerization. And so whether it's making apps that delight me as the user, so that I want to use it, whether that's making a mobile experience that's very efficient and effective for me, whatever it might be, combined with the idea that you really can't force adoption of products like this. What I mean is, we used to sell software to decision makers, and then the decision maker would buy the software and force their employees to use it. Well, you really can't do that anymore, because the user has a voice. They're actually a human. They're a person, and they have a voice in these products that has to be honored and respected. And so when you introduce an alternative to them, and they try it and they like it, then you have an advocate in your company. And more companies are doing what's known as bottoms up, where they're going into individual users. They're giving them this product that makes a problem in their work life better, and they're using it, and they aren't asking anyone for permission. They're not going to an IT department. They're not going to a boss. They're not going to someone who has budget. They're just using it. And a lot of times they're using it, and they're just using their corporate credit card to pay for it. And so that sort of bottoms up movement is happening and is real, and I think is pretty exciting. Another trend in SaaS that I think is interesting is this concept of the Augmented Web, or whatever you might want to call it. But it's this idea that not everything has to be a destination. Not every application you use, every product you use has to be a destination. It doesn't have to be an app you log into. And think about it, right? How many logins do you have and do you manage, right? It's unfathomable, right? And then everyone's telling you how, make sure you change your password. It's like, well, how do you remember all this? But it's a mess, right? So it starts with the login problem, right? Logins is this problem I'm talking about. It's like so many apps to log into, so many things to remember. And if you think about what you're really doing in that app, do we need to be, as an industry, so self-centered that we need you logging into our app, come to our destination and come use our stuff? I think the answer is no. I think there's lots of stuff that you might be doing something else, and you might want to augment that experience with an application where that application is supporting something else you're doing and solving a real problem for you, but you can stay in that workflow. And I think that there's a couple of apps now where you're seeing that are really thinking that way. And I think that that's going to eventually lead to a fundamental change in how we build applications and how we deliver things. And, add in the idea of notifications and how quickly notifications are spiraling out of control. Your phone, right? You sit in a meeting and you're doing something and you're off your phone for an hour and you go back to your phone. It's complete chaos, right? There's a sea of notifications, and you're like, what's happening? How do I like deal with all of this? It's a mess, right? And so that doesn't work, right? We're going to outgrow that really quickly, and we're going to have this new paradigm of the way we consume and solve problems, right? So let's stop thinking about apps that I log into and do stuff, and let's start thinking about, I have this problem I need to solve while I'm at work, and so what's the most efficient way I can do it? And it's going to require me consuming different services and doing different things, but not everything has to be this app and this window and this place, and it's chaos. So I think that's a really cool trend. I think that's something that's going to really reshape the way we think about how we build apps for people.